Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. I hope all of you are doing well, preparing well for the upcoming prelims examination with your full G and enthusiasm. This is a video session on daily news and editorial analysis dated 19th of January. Through this video session, I'll be discussing the important news and editorial both from the Hindu and Indian Express. The analysis and the discussion in the news will specifically be beneficial in catering the aspirant of civil services examination, state public service commission examination, and various one-day examination conducted across the country. So we'll see the relevance of the article, its importance in the examination, and how it is related to both prelims and mains examination. So let's get started. First, I'll give you the highlights of the day, and then we'll proceed further with the detailed analysis of the news one by one. But before I begin, I would like to tell you about Nischay All India Test Series program. This is a program which is specifically meant and exclusively for prelims 2024. Here we are providing 4900 plus questions. Along with that, the video discussions will be followed, demo test, and free magazines for content enrichment. If you want to register for this test series, which is again vital for the prelims examination, you can use this QR code, and even in the description section we have provided a dedicated link from where you can be redirected to the specific page, so do check it out. Now starting with the news highlight of the day, the first important news is about the GM crop. The government has said that allowing the GM will make oil more cheaper and affordable, but there's some other concern which is coming from the other stakeholders. We'll see the detail to that. The second important news talks about the China and Philippines. They have agreed to lower the tension over the South China Sea. So some of the consensus has been made between both countries. Third important news talks about the India's domestic passenger traffic, which is further going to increase. There will be surge to 300 million by 2030. This is what the Minister for Civil Aviation has actually anticipated, and the roadmap has been decided for the India's domestic aviation sector. The second last news talks about the Prime Minister who has recently released the postal stamp of Ram Temple as stamp book on Ramayana. So this can be important for one-day examination here and there. And I'll be concluding the session with editorial that talks about creating a new phase of craft in India and UK defense ties. When it comes to defense ties, UK and Russia has always been a trusted partner. So we'll see the detail how there are new other dimension that has been added in India and UK defense ties. Let's get started with detailed analysis of each and every news one by one. So the first important news is about the GM crops. So the center government has actually made an appeal to the Supreme Court, and they have actually even given a affidavit that if the government is actually coming with the part of the GM crop, it will ultimately help the part of industries and even the consumer. So the center has urged the Supreme Court to give the approval for GM mustard, and it is crucial to achieve the food security, and even it will bolster the part of India's self-reliance, which will potentially increase 25 to 30% decrease even in the cropped output. Agar baat kare import ki, India will drastically be reducing the part of import if the GM crop is allowed to be cultivated on a commercial level. But there's some downside, there are some negative consequences to it. There the stakeholders has raised concern about the other industry being impacted, like the honey industry that will be impacted. We'll see the detail why the concern has been raised. Now, GM mustard की briefly अगर बात करें, I think most of you must be aware of this GM mustard, which in India is Dhara mustard hybrid 11. This is again very, very important. Whenever we are talking about GM mustard in India, it is DMH 11, which was actually developed by Delhi University professors at DU in Delhi. Now it is generally modified variant of herbicide tolerant mustard. तो ये HT variant of part है mustard की. The development was done by the Indian scientist at DMHI in the genetically modified. A certain enhancement character has been incorporated, which ensure that this has a resistance to pests and diseases. See, whenever we are coming with any kind of GM crop, the alterations, the part of ramifications and the part of incorporation is done to ensure that yes, this particular crops is pest free, सस्टेनेबल एंड एवर कॉलिंग फॉर मोर पार्ट, जहाँ पे ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा जो पहले के चैलेंजेस हैं उनको ओवरकम किया गया हो. दैट इज अ सोल पर्पस कमिंग अप विद एनी काइंड ऑफ जीएम क्रॉप्स. Now, the Environment Ministry has actually allowed the environmental release of Dhara mustard hybrid, a transgenic mustard which was actually developed by Delhi University, and its productions testing for the commercial release. But what are the concern? We'll see detail to that as well कि क्या क्या concern raise किए गए हैं. उससे पहले देखते हैं क्या science है behind the DMH111. Some basics that you would require to know. So the pollen free parent and even the pollen, these are the two, male and female. So there's a transmissions which take place which F1 hybrid. This is a part of genetics. I'm not getting detail into that. That is essentially not required for you as such. So there are certain development pollen. Then we have tapetum, another part of instructed RNA which is there, and certain fragment of RNA is also being used. And this is how the entire process take place. This was created by the team of scientists in 1990, and the innovation was there in Belgium called as Bestar male fertility technique. The other technique that has also been evolved in the recent time. The professors at Delhi University has also taken some important point into considerations. Now, moving ahead about the Supreme Court observations, before I come to the concern, let's see what Supreme Court has to say in this regard, because this matter has been referred to Honorable Supreme Court. The center government has actually asked for the approval of the Honorable Supreme Court to come up with the commercial part of GM crops, specifically the GM mustard. The Supreme Court has said that it is only wanting that we want a goods that should have a substantial contributions to the society at large. और GM mustards की अगर बात करें, ये edible oils को और cheaper बनाएंगी, and even national interest में है ये. And even if you look at the part for dependence on terms of import, it will drastically reduce the part of dependence which we have for oil import, right? Now, what are the concern that has been raised? अगर GM mustard के लेकर के बात करें तो काफी politically debate भी इस पे intensify हुई थी. There were some pro and some anti activist that is also coming with this crop. The first and foremost priority that has been highlighted is regarding the environmental activists. They have opposed the move and urged the government and asked that government should not come up with the final approval, because see, when it comes to the part of approval, there is a body called Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, GEAC. तो GEAC अप्रूवल देती है, उसके बाद ही किसी भी जेनेटिक क्रॉप की कमर्शियल ये यूटिलाइजेशन है या फिर जो आई मीन द पार्ट ऑफ कल्टिवेशन कैन टेक प्लेस. सो बिफोर अप्रूवल इट कैन नॉट बी डन. This part of the concern has landed to the Supreme Court. Now the Supreme Court has to also give approval. Now the honey cultivators are actually opposing it because मस्टर्ड्स में काफ़ी हनी ब्रीड करती है, एंड इवन दे टेक एंड सक द पार्ट. और ये जो हनी इंडस्ट्रीज है उनको काफ़ी ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट करेगी, बिकॉज वी हैव सीन द इकोलॉजिकल पार्ट जहाँ पे दोनों की एक सिम्बायोटिक रिलेशनशिप होती है. दे अर्ज the government to reject the commercial cultivation and its approval. The herbicide tolerant DMH11 mustard variety enables variety use that has a wider and even it will have a harming impact on the part of harming crop. So अगर इस तरह की जो resistance crops बनती हैं तो बाद में super weed बनने की भी chances बढ़ती हैं. So concern has raised over the potential excessive herbicide use leading to the weed resistance and emergence of super weed. So this is again an important point. If you're writing specifically mains examination, you can highlight this point about the super weed is also one of the suspicious and concern that has been raised by the concerned stakeholders. Now, mustard oil consumptions की अगर बात करें इंडिया में, see, I mean, there are other oils which is used in India as such. So mustard oil is among the popular cooking oil which is used mostly. If you look at the part for the eastern India and even for central India, mustard oil is a preferred oil. To meet the domestic demand, we almost require 50 to 60% of edible oil that has to be imported. तो इंडिया में जो domestic demand है उसको meet करने के लिए we actually import 50 to 60% of its oil, right? The government said that edible oil demand is something which India has 24.6 million ton, or domestic availability सिर्फ और सिर्फ 11.1 million. You can see almost half of the part, 50% to 55% is a shortfall that we are witnessing. Now in 2021, 13.45 million ton was there, like 54% के आसपास जो edible oil की demands थी, that is coming with this much value, including the palm oil, sunflower oil, and other quantities of canola and mustard oil that is there. And here is the detail about the total edible oil consumption in India. You can see the graph. It will give you a clear, evident idea about the part, how the consumption is taking place in the country. So maximum consumption is of the palm oil, which contributes 38%. Then we have soya oil, which is 19.7%. Rape or mustard oil contribute 14.1%. Sunflower contribute 9.2. Then we have cotton oil, ground oil, and even RBO and other oil which contribute 10%. So these are the bifurcations of the total consumptions of the edible oil in our country, and these sources are there from the authentic, that is Solvent Extractor Association of India. So you can relate this if you're writing in mains, you can here and there draw a diagram to give a better understanding. Now, moving ahead with the other news, that is China and Philippines have agreed for the part of ease in the South China Sea tension that has been escalated between two countries for quite long. China and Philippines have agreed to collaborate and reduce the tension in the South China Sea after the year of confrontation that both countries has potentially seen. And if you look at the solutions for any part of the countries which is coming to a tussle, I personally feel negotiations and even the part of agreement is the only best solutions. War is something that make things more worse and more distorted. We have seen the example for Russia and Ukraine, Israel, the recent the Israel and the part of Palestine war which is ongoing. So इस सारी चीजों से solutions नहीं होती हैं. Definitely we have to come for a negotiation. A diplomatic resolution is the best way out, right? Now, moving ahead with the recent development that took place between both the countries, the China's foreign minister has said that two sides have agreed to improve the part of communications between both the countries and even to manage the part of specifically some of the regions situated at the RENF region, which is there. I mean, this is a rift which is there. In November, Philippines has said that China's coast ship has accomplished the part of dangerous maneuvers, which is applying the Philippines supply ship, water cannons, and even for the disputed waters. And China's disputed account for something which is accepted and approximately. I'll tell you to give you the details that is again here, so that the mapper will help you understand कि क्या recent development हुई है उस region. So you can see this diagram which will give you a better understanding about the part of dispute and the reason behind it. So this is China and this is Vietnam, the country over the main part, even this is Taiwan, right? Now all of them have claim with the part of this island called Spratly Island. It's Party Island and they have other partial island which is there. So this is something which is also considered as an EEZ, that is exclusive economic zone. And these zones are very significant in terms of oil, the part of reserve which is there, essential minerals which is there. So something very important in terms of economical angle. Now, these are the other 9 dash line which is important from examination perspective. You can even draw this diagram to have a better understanding. Now, South China Sea disputes की अगर बात करें, this is something not new. India has been proactively advocating with the part of the part of clarity on this particular region, calling for transparency and benefits to all neighboring countries. So South China Sea dispute is a complex and long-standing territorial maritime conflict involving the part of countries in the South Asian region. The primary focus जो है इस particular region के claim की, that is on the various island rifts, water in South China Sea. They are rich in natural resources, including the oil and gases, and crucial for maritime route. See, if any country dominate on the specific region, it will become barrier for the other countries to have a trade and negotiation, right? The territorial dispute in the South China Sea is widely seen as a potential flashpoint for the army conflict and even for the other reason also. It is something which will give an undue advantage to a specific country, which should not be there in terms of territorial integrity, which is there. Multiple countries have claim over the South China Sea, which include the country like Brunei, Malaysia, Philippines, Malaysia, and China. So Malaysia has been reported. You can just ignore one of them. Now, the importance of South China Sea. See, I mean, as I've told you, it has a huge depositions of other minerals and essential part. So 11 billion barrel of oil, 190 trillion cubic meter of natural gases, and there in the South China Sea, according to an estimate which was done by the United States Energy Agency. And moreover, this particular region is rich for the fishing ground, which is a major source of income for millions of people in the particular region. More than half of the world fishing vessels operate in this particular area. More significantly, ये crucial है trade route के हिसाब से, जिस तरह से routes बनती हैं. If you look at the part of the trade route which is there, it become more important and significant for the member countries and route they are passing actually. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development has also said that over 21% of the global trade amount to 3.3 trillion of the part, which actually this waterways contributes since 2016 onwards. Now moving ahead, roadmap for India's domestic air passengers traffic. We are witnessing on the part COVID-19 के बाद अगर बात करें aviation sector की, this is taking a boom and Even the slow surge is pretty evident that this particular number can toll up to 300 billion by 2030. 300 million, just to correct, 300 million by 2030. So this statement was actually given by the Minister of Civil Aviation, was announced that the domestic air passengers traffic is expected to double. This will be double, and ensuring that other players will also have a competitive part where the consumer, the ultimately travelers, will have a benefit on that side. Now, domestic air traffic की अगर बात करें, India is the third world largest domestic aviation market है, and seventh in terms of the aviation market across the globe. And in the air passengers traffic, we have recorded 153 million passengers traveling. The Union Minister has also said India की जो domestic air traffic है, that has surpassed the pre-COVID level. During the COVID-19, due to certain major restrictions on traveling, this sector was hugely impacted, and the domestic passengers traffic has witnessed 15% growth with the CAGR, that is compounded annual growth rate, and the international 6.1 at least in the last decade. Now, this is a data. This is from the government data from the DGCA, Director General of Civil Aviation. So this will give you a better picture about the total passenger footfall. This is for 2022 and 23, and this is a carrier in the part of the domestic carrier that are operating. The highest share goes to Indigo. Then we have Vistara, Air India, Air Asia, SpiceJet, Aska Airline, Alliance Air, Star Air, and Flyback, and even India One Air. So these are the some of the share which is given to the domestic part. तो ये numbers आपके लिए basic understanding के लिए जरूरी है. Now, there's new FDTL norms. I have already made a specific discussion on this part, जहाँ पे new flight duty limitations time बनाई गई है गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से. DGCA, that is the Director General of Civil Aviation, has come up with the rule जहाँ पे extra time देने की बात की गई है for the pilots to give a resting time. The rest time जो होती थी वो काफी कम थी, so rest time should be given with proper amenities and other facilities that has to be there. The domestic demand for air travel has posed with the need of new FTLDL norms, which is in India. और ये नए नॉर्म्स के थ्रू क्रिएट करेंगी गवर्नमेंट, जहाँ पे केयरफुली कंसिडर की गई है इंटरनेशनल नॉर्म्स को, ताकि वो इंडिया में भी अडॉप्टेड हो और सेम प्रोसीजर अक्रॉस द ग्लोब जो स्टैंडर्ड प्रैक्टिसेस है वो इंडिया में भी ऑपरेट की जाए. Now, moving ahead, the Prime Minister has released a postage stamp on the Ram Temple. The inauguration, you can say the part of formal, I'm using the word inauguration, will took place on 22nd of January. So to commemorate the part, a postal stamp has been released by the Prime Minister on the particular temple, and even a book stamp has been released for Ramayana around the world. This is something very important which will give India more recognitions in terms of ग्लोबल वर्ल्ड ने के जो कल्चर है उसके रिप्रेजेंटेशन, इंडिया की डाइवर्सिटी को और ज़्यादा प्रमोट करने का मौका मिलेगा. Now, what is the aim? The stamp book is an attempt to showcase the international appeal for Lord Rama, and even 48-page book which was there even was released for 20 countries. The sixth stamp is a collection of figure of different the part of character which is there. I'm not getting detailed, that is not relevant from examination point of view as such. The book showcased the stamp which is in the 20 countries has been included on that part, which include United States, New Zealand, Singapore, Canada, Cambodia, and other countries will be there with the International Organization of the United Nations. Now, this collections aims to underline the universal appeal and influence of Lord Rama, and even the diverse society, the globe. We have Indian diaspora operating apart from India. The countries like United States, New Zealand, Singapore, Canada, we have a huge presence of Indians diaspora as well in their region. So that will give more part, and even it will ensure that India's culture and diversity has been promoted to a larger extent in this specific region. Now, moving ahead with the editorial that talks about crafting a new phase in India and UK defense ties. As I've told at the beginning, that UK and Russia is something which has a due advantage. If you look at India as such, we have always been taken the advantage of these countries with having a good bilateral relationship in terms of defense and other sectors that is critical for India. So first, what we'll be looking into the article, we'll see the Indian Navy technological gap, the joint working group which has been formed, and the conclusions. Now, at the gap of 22 years, the Defense Minister of India has made a visit to United Kingdom. So there was a shortfall which we have seen. From 22 years, there was no official visit that was made from the Defense Ministry as such. Now, in contrast to that, after 2 decades, it's an opportunity to increase collaborations between India and UK. And this is something which is very important for country when we're looking for a 5 trillion economy, top 3 emerging economy in the world. The rise of the Chinese military influence, specifically in the Indian Ocean region, even pose threat to India और श्रीलंका और इवन मालदीव जैसे कंट्री में जहाँ पे चाइना की प्रेजेंस काफ़ी ज़्यादा बढ़ रही है, वी नीड टू सीक एन अल्टरनेटिव वेयर यूके कैन डेफिनेटली बी एन trusted partner for us. Now, this has promoted re-evaluations of a strategic partnership by the Britain. Now, if you look at the other details before I jump down to the other part of analysis, just look at the part where we are having collaborations with other countries. So, some of the countries include Sweden, Germany, Switzerland, Italy, UK, Israel, Ukraine, France, Russia, and United States, which are substantially contributing India. And these are the other details of the top countries with military expenditure and their part, right? Now, Indian Navy technology gaps की अगर बात करें, if you look at Indian Navy specifically, I'm talking, we have a substantial gap in terms of state of art technology, in terms of the part of best practices that we are operating with. तो यहाँ पे इस shortfall को कम करने के लिए वहाँ की जो people liberation army है, that will be even helping out with the shortfalls. The defense minister has said that UK will focus on key emerging technology that is specifically required for Indian Navy. UK will replace the addressing the part of Indian Navy technology in comparison to Chinese, right? And even the strengthening of cooperations, particularly in the realm of electric propulsions and aircraft carrier, will also be boosted up. It will be augmented further. That it will ensure that India is having state of art technology and even the part of aircraft carriers. Currently, Indian Navy is a lack of electric propulsion technologies, which can be further helped out by UK. और ये engagement के थ्रू इंडिया को काफ़ी हद तक इंडियन नेवी की जो इलेक्ट्रिक प्रोपल्शन टेक्नोलॉजी है उसको एडवांस करने का मौका मिलेगा. Now, there's a joint working group which is operating. In February 2023, last year, we have seen that India-U.K electric propulsion capacity partnership was established between both the countries. तो इंडिया और यूके ने इसके लिए एग्रीमेंट स्टैब्लिश किया. द डेलीगेशन वाज देयर फ्रॉम द रॉयल नेवी फ्रिगेट HMS लैंडस्केप, राइट? तो जहाँ पे कोची में ये सारी एक्सरसाइजेस की गई हैं. सब्सिक्वेंटली we have seen the transfer technology, knowing how to leverage, and even Russia's Navy had expertise and electric propulsion with Indian Navy such as comets. In November 2023, India and UK have electric propulsion capabilities जो कि Indian Navy के future warship electric propulsion technologies को further और improve करेंगे. The British has agreed to train equipped with this path of infrastructure development and even providing electric propulsion, other advanced vessels, and even TOT, that is technology transfer, with the help of agreement between both countries. Now, moving ahead with the conclusion, India's defense minister visit to UK has made London both rediscovering boasters and even involvement in the presence of East of Swiss. Even considering the late 1960s, we see the engagement has been through on off between India and UK. Now, the current India-UK defense relation is marked with the historic resonance, जहाँ पे दोनों country अपने ideas, even for the part of core theme, their convergence, and it will hold an immense potential for shared security in the specific region and the challenges that both country poses. Amid the part of the global security landscape, इंडिया और यूके की जो डिफेंस पार्टनरशिप है वो एक्सेम्प्लीफाई करेगी उनके सिग्निफिकेंस कोलैबोरेशन एफर्ट्स को और रीजनल और ग्लोबल स्टेबिलिटी सिक्योरिटी प्रोवाइड करेंगे. स्पेसिफिकली इंडिया एट लार्ज will be benefited with the technology, the propulsion technology which is there, the advanced technology which UK possesses will definitely help Indian Navy in a larger context and improve the part of overall capabilities of Indian Navy. Now, moving ahead with answers and discussion for yesterday questions. For first, the correct option is D. For this particular question, the correct option is option 3, and even options 2 is correct and option 1 is correct. So all the statements are correct. Do check out what you have marked as the correct option. The first second question here again, the question 1, statement 1 and statement 2, both statements are correct. This is about the part of exercise X article. You have to check for the correct options. आपने क्या mark किया? Today's MCQ questions for the day. The first question is about, you have to consider the statement about the Jaskar River that has a major tributary. It flows into entire in the Ladakh region. The river is used for irrigation and power generation. This is a pretty basic question, but again, something call for more in-depth idea. आपको बताना है इसमें correct options क्या हैं through your options that can be there 1 A, B, C, D, and you can drop down your answer in the comment section down below. Writing question number will help us to know which questions you are attempting. For second question, it's regarding the part of Prime Minister Award for Excellence in Public Administration. The PM Award has been conferred to the President of India on the Civil Services Day. There is no monetary incentive which is given for this award. Again, Just write question number 2 followed by your correct option, and you can drop down your answer in the comment section down below. Your participation is something very important for us, which will give you a deep insight and even motivate us to come up with more good quality questions for you for the upcoming prelims examination. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, any queries about test series, admissions, new courses, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being stay connected.